A little bit about yourself, and just to be clear, this is Lenny. He's an Uber driver in Chicago who has been on the front lines in the movement to improve conditions for gig workers. Yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yep, like you said, my name is Lenny Sanchez. Everyone calls me Lenny. I've unfortunately been driving for Uber and Lyft for 5 years now. I've been doing the gig deliveries for a few months now, and I've been organizing under Gig Workers Matter for about 6-7 months now here as well too.
I want to speak because you said, during high demand times, and obviously not now because of this pandemic. What has the COVID-19 crisis meant for drivers? And how are you guys seeing this moment directly?
So what we're hearing from the community, and it's pretty predictable, is that it's pretty miserable out there for us. There is no one flying anywhere. There's no conferences. There's no sporting events, no concerts, and everyone's working from home. So there's no demand for rush hour. So as a driver, there's just nothing we really can do. You can log in and hope you get lucky and try to make a few dollars. And aside from the economical hits that we are taking and we're seeing everyone take, the ones that are working, they're making a decision, whether it's out of necessity or whatever, to go out and expose themselves to the virus, potentially get it, give it to their family members or to their passengers or customers, which is something none of us want to do.
The rides that people are getting are maybe a little more dangerous. Is that true? And when you say that, exposing themselves, what do you mean?
So as people are, it's the public, are using it as an alternate to mass transit because people are kind of scared of mass transit right now. So people that are commuting to work because they're considered essential, and they are using public transportation, they are kind of switched to rideshare. And by being exposed, what I mean is that we don't know, as scientifically, there's no hoax. This is a legit virus. It's real, and people are being diagnosed with it, and they are not even having any symptoms, so they don't even realize that they are sick and whatnot.
So then, what does that mean? What kind of security does a driver of Uber have when they get exposed?
In typical Uber fashion, I was expecting what we call Ubernanigans. So I have been ordered to self-quarantine for 14 days minimum while I'm waiting the results here. And according to Uber's press release that they did about a week ago or so now, to announce that they had created a sick fund of sorts, or program for drivers to be able to get some sort of compensation if they test positive or been ordered to quarantine. So I go online, and there's only way for us to submit this was to basically start a conversation through the application, through the actual Uber driver app. I then get a response back saying to submit my forms. So I submit my forms, and I explain my visit, and they ask for a description. And their response was an electronic generic cookie cutter type response that they just send out to everybody. And the response I got basically informed me to have the physician that saw me and told me to self-quarantine to fill out a request for me to be able to then request the compensation. So I need to go to the ER. I have to get him to step away from all the COVID potential patients he's seeing and the regular emergencies.
And potentially expose yourself to other people.
All over again, and exactly, whether I'm positive or not, to go through this process to get compensated maybe $100 or $200 a week, because that's probably about what I would be getting. It's just insulting, and it was expected, but for your person that might be new, a new driver that has still high hopes or expectations of Uber or are appreciative and don't understand the cost of operation, they might be totally shocked and be like, wait, this process is just ridiculous. So
Uber and other rideshare companies will attract like low-income workers and drivers by helping them say you can lease a car from us, right? And what does that look like in the context of this crisis? Like if a driver is either A, not able to make, money because no one's on the road, or the people on the road are sick, right? Like I know there was another thing about not picking up food rides because it's like triple exposure. There's no social distancing. But then also, like, if a driver themselves gets sick, like, do they still have to pay the lease? I mean, we're hearing a little bit about the hashtag rent strike that could happen around the country in April. Does that also apply to your car if you lease from Uber?
They're not offering anything whatsoever. It's take it or leave it. If you don't pay your rent payment, then they're going to send you to collections and report the vehicle stolen if you don't return it within a certain time. So that is, like you said, it's a massive issue for all the people that are renters right now, because the cost to rent the vehicles, depending on which one they're at, on typical without a pandemic, it costs around $200 to $300 to rent a vehicle per week. And that might be how much some of these gig workers are making in a 30 to 40 hour shift nowadays, is that $200 to $300 payment. So that's not including their fuel cost and or any money that they need for themselves.
You've talked a lot about what gig workers need in this moment, what not just rideshare workers but in general. After this crisis is over, how do you imagine keeping Uber and others from going back to business as usual, and offering no protections to drivers who get sick, relying on their rides to survive? Like, what are the ways that in this moment we can create some shifts that go beyond the pandemic itself, as you see it?
We need these things all the time, not just during a pandemic. And if the reality is that the workers can't afford to have a safety cushion that they save up for in case of emergencies, whether it's a vehicle emergency or a pandemic or a personal emergency, and be able to afford health insurance, that needs to be given to us. Exploitation by misclassification is not innovation. These companies can shove it. Travis, Dara, all of these CEOs, they can shove it. They are 100%, it's a misclassification issue, whether it's the workforce, in my opinion, with the rideshare community being misclassified, or these companies themselves, which is Uber and Lyft, being misclassified themselves, because they are transportation companies. They are not tech companies, and they should be paying into these funds and paying taxes just like the rest of us.